Well, to tell you the truth, Bill Clinton must have fried his brain way back in 1968. You know, he used to think he was smoking. He was actually playing the saxophone. He was smoking crack through that big pipe. I'll tell you that right now because you know what he just said? He says that we need to bring in the Syrian refugees and we're gonna pay them to rebuild the city of Detroit. I was like, what are you talking about, Bill, man? You are it's like I don't get what the hell you know what it is? I don't know, they got some kind of policy, man. They're just but you know what the deal is? These people really are stupid, you know? It's like they're just BSing us left and right, and they think they can just get by with these big whoppers, and nobody's going to see through exactly what they are about. And no matter how much the major media tries to freaking dissuade the public isn't buying it. But unfortunately, we got these electronic rigged voting machines, and who the hell knows what's going to happen this fall when we got the elections coming up. But Bill is like, he's out there for just saying this stuff about have the Syrian refugees when they come in, we'll pay them and they can rebuild the city of Detroit. Now, what about the people that live in Detroit? Why can't you pay them? You know, Detroit's got this major unemployment population amongst the city youth. Why can't you pay them to do that stuff? You got to bring in Syrian refugees now, Bill. Anyway, you know, but honestly, these people, the Clintons, and a lot of people that are politicians, their main skill is getting reelected. Their main skill is putting their hand or their finger on the pulse of public opinion. That's their main skill. And unfortunately, that's not the main skill you need to be, you know, keeping the nation strong. Like they're not looking at what America's enemies are doing or what's happening actually really in the underlying economy or anything like that. I mean, it's pretty ludicrous to think that some unskilled, non-English speaking Syrian refugees are going to come over here and put their whole heart and soul into rebuilding Detroit rather than people who lived in Detroit and would like to see the city rebuilt and they want to see it restored to its former luster. And, you know, of course, they speak the language that we all speak where they're dealing with the subcontractors. And also, you know, if you live there, it's like you take pride in where the hell you're. It's like, you know, if I was a refugee going to Syria or somewhere else, why would I really put my heart and soul in rebuilding their country, right? Same thing. And obviously, I shouldn't say this, but you also got the radical elements that are in within the refugees that Google algorithms don't like you telling about, you know, because the policy is globalism and open borders and all this other bullshit. But Bill Clinton, man, he is so freaking whacked out on weed for so long. His brain has been fried since, I swear to God, it's been fried probably for the last 50 years, probably something like that. And he's just gone, man. I tell you, it's like, you know, he'll say something cool as all hell, and like he'll say, "Oh we could just bring in the Syrian refugees and pay them and have them rebuild Detroit." You know, it's like this guy. Honestly, you know, could you imagine him trying to survive on his own, as you know, in construction in real estate, like Donald Trump had to? Would you hire those? Would you hire some Syrian refugees on your project to rebuild something and turn around and sell it at a profit? You think that would work? I don't think so. Anyway, you know, no construction skills there. Not that. And you know, by the way, we got loads of unemployed people still probably from the last major downturn in construction in 2007, 2008 in this country. Real estate's never really recovered except in the prime real estate markets in the commercial sectors of the major cities. You know, not Detroit, but say like New York and Miami or something. It's never really recovered. But one thing we can actually do, besides, you know, bringing in these Syrian refugees, whatever the hell it is, man. I like Bill, man. You are just on crack. You know, you should have him rebuild your mansion or have him guard Hillary. Or how about provide medical assistance to Hillary? Syrian refugee. One of those magic combo pens she gets an injection with every time she spaces out like Big Bird and her eyes go boogie. Anyway, but Bill, I got an idea for you. An idea, as we say up there in Jersey, New York. Anyway, you know what you could do is you could bring in the Syrian belly dancers. and put your stamp of approval, test fire every single one that comes in, and if they're good, they come in the country. So that could be a morale booster for the inner cities, doing a little bit of belly dancing out there on the streets and stuff. And Bill, you can hook them up with all the weeds you got in your stash, because we know you don't just inhale. You can probably grow the stuff by the freaking hectares and acres of it, and whatever the hell you got out there, man. You probably got hidden freaking grow pots in your underground bunker, for all I know. And Billy Boy, I'll tell you one thing, man. I'm not really against you all the way, to tell you the truth. Your wife, I can't stand, but yeah, I don't know. You as a person, even though I would never vote for you, you as a person are just a crazy cool person. I can tell you that right now. Just don't be a politician. That's your main downfall. But, I guess the devil took you, and that's the way it goes. But as far as you being a Mr. Party guy with the belly dancers and stuff, Billy Boy, I think you're all right. And you never know. We might be distant cousins, because, Edward the Seventh. I'm beginning to wonder, man. Edward the Caresser and all that kind of shit. We might be distant cousins. Who knows, man? Want a DNA test? Ha! I'll challenge you. Anyway, so, Bill, anyway, pretty ludicrous with that stupid idea about bringing in the Syrian refugees to rebuild Detroit. But you can bring in the Syrian belly dancers as long as you bring in the hot ones. That's my freaking opinion on this deal. Because I am not against bringing in all kinds of hot freaking women from the other parts of the planet. And I think Bill would agree with that, too. And I think Bill needs to, screen every single one of them that comes in. So that's one deal. So, but Bill, man, you're not fooling anybody with the deal about, Syrian refugees building a freaking rebuild in Detroit. Wow, man. Actually, Syria's a hot place, too. I mean, physically, climate-wise, man, you try trying to freaking have them do construction in Detroit during, like, the 9 months out of the year that's a lot colder than what it is up in Syria. And they wouldn't like that, man. Jeez. They wouldn't even like being in that part of the country, man. It's too damn cold. That's a north, man. That's the winter weather stuff. So, anyway. But it's amazing how focused these people are on politics. Bill is, and this is the problem. We got a weak, soft underbelly in this country when we got people like this in politics. It's like they're extremely focused in on, and are extremely skilled at politicking. They're extremely skilled at keeping their finger on, well, I mean, maybe not with Hillary. Well, you know what? Hillary would probably make it if she was not so unhealthy. Not that she would make it fairly, I mean, into the presidency. But I think she's, that's a separate subject. But, when you have these debates coming up, man, God, she's probably going to short circuit live on TV or take a poop her pants or something. Something's going to go wrong, and that's going to be the end of that deal. But, as far as, what these people are geared for, and this is like the problem with all these politicians, that's all they're geared for is politicking. They're not even interested in, like, who's our enemies, what people are trying to do in other parts of the world against America. No, they're just making all kinds of cute speeches and telling people what the hell they want to hear. Or in my case, they're not telling me anything I want to hear because they're so full of it. But I'll tell him some things he wants to hear, because I think he'd go for the belly dancer, the Syrian refugee belly dancer idea. That's one thing freaking old Billy Boy would go for, I think. But he's this guy, man. It's like you probably can't hate him as a person, but I can kind of hate him as a politician, because that's the problem. These people they're hung up on power and greed and money, and the problem is, if they didn't have the power, the greed, and the money, they'd be a nobody anyway. So that's the problem right there. So that's what actually keeps these people alive and going. But I can tell you honestly, I think the United States is pretty much on the way out the door, man. I don't think anybody's going to save this country. It's like everything's already set in motion. We're already showing how weak we are in the United States. And the weakness is showing through our leadership. And our leadership, and I can't really say, put this out like, think, our leadership is bad. But I mean, it's like our leadership is not really, they're not really leaders. They're just politicians. They're like entertainment. They're like, hey, what's the public want to hear? I'll tell them what they want to hear. That's all they are. That's not leadership. It's like give the people. I know it's not. I know that my audience probably doesn't. I don't really like Bill Clinton. Like, well, not as a politician. I think he'd be freaking wild to hang out with, though. To tell you the truth, but you know, I don't like him as a politician. But actually, I don't even like George Bush as a politician. So I mean, what the hell do I like as a politician? Actually, now I like Donald Trump. I do. I do. I didn't wasn't sure about him at first. I like him now because I realize he's legit. I think he is legit. I like JFK, like John F. Kennedy. I liked him as a politician. But all the ones after John F. Kennedy, I didn't even like Reagan really because he was a big speech guy too. But that's the problem we got. They're all speech. They're all talk, and they just tell people what they want to hear, and they're not really addressing at looking at the details. What the hell's wrong with our nation? Hey, our bridges are falling down. We got bad infrastructure in our tunnels. Even our airports need a lot of work. Our train system, we don't even have any bullet trains in the United States. They got them all over, all the parts of the world. Um, our infrastructure as far as our grid system and our utilities, our electric utilities, is very vulnerable. Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? You gonna have the Syrian refugees do that too? Yeah, I see you in the White House someday. The lights go off, and you say, "Yeah, the Syrian refugees hooked you up, buddy." Hey, man, I know he's being facetious. So am I a little bit too. But the deal is, sometimes these guys they all paint themselves as in the corner. That's the deal, right? The politicians. It's almost like the silver-tongued devils. They trip themselves up left and right. Problem is, like, the major media ain't freaking holding them accountable to anything, and whatever, whatever. But anyway, just figured I'd tell you the latest Ripley's Believe It or Not. Ripley's Believe It or Not is that Bill Clinton says that Syrian refugees ought to be paid to build up Detroit and our inner cities. Hey, this is proof that excessive weed smoking crack cocaine, and doing a lot snorting cocaine is hazardous to your brain. I've never done that shit in my life, man. I'm just like, holy shit. I just can't believe this. I can't believe this guy is so important. He makes these kind of statements, man. I mean, I could be a better politician than him by far, man, myself, without even trying. God, man. Anyway, and I'd probably be jumping on that plane to that island too, along with you, though. But I think that's the one thing I think he does right. But the belly dancers, man, I mean, that's my plan on the Syrian refugees. Bring in the belly dancers, and this way we got some Muslims, right? The kind of cool ones that keep everything alive and keep the harmony and keep the beat and all that kind of shit. So that would be my plan for the Syrian refugees, right? Of course, Hillary wouldn't like that. She'd be like, "Hey, okay, I'm jealous. Get out there, and start doing some belly dancing, lady, and you don't have to be wearing those pantsuits. And maybe you will walk up the stairs if you start getting into your belly dancing routine." But no, I don't want to do that. All right? She's a witch. Anyway, over now.